All right, we're going to take a look at depreciation. So, three common methods of depreciation. We have straight line, we have units of production, and we have double declining balance. So first one we're going to look at is straight line. So straight line is exactly what it says it is. It goes in a straight line. It's the same. So we'll look at an asset here. So say we have an asset with a $2,000 cost. And then let's say it has a $500 salvage value. And it has a useful life of 5 years. So the first thing we have to figure out is the depreciable cost. So the depreciable cost is the $2,000 cost minus the salvage, and that gets us $1,500 of depreciable cost, because we don't depreciate the salvage value. So now if we take that $1,500 divided by 5 years, we get $300 per year of depreciation on this asset. And then we know from earlier chapters, our entry for depreciation, we debit depreciation expense, credit accumulated depreciation, and annually it would be $300 per year. Say we wanted to figure it out monthly. Monthly, it would be the annual 300 divided by 12. All right. So next, let's look at the units of production. So units of production doesn't depreciate based on time, it depreciates based on usage. So let's say we have an asset with a cost of $10,000. It has a salvage value of $1,000. And we think this piece of machinery or this piece of equipment is able to manufacture 36,000 units. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take our depreciable, we're going to figure out our depreciable cost, which is our cost less the salvage value. But instead of dividing it by time, we're going to divide it by the number of units. So the number of units we say it could produce is 36,000. So if we do the math on that, we find out that we get 25 cents per unit. So now let's say this year, or this month, we produced 10,000 units. So if we take our 10,000 units times 25 cents, we get depreciation expense of $2,500. So we're depreciating based on usage, not time. So before we said the asset's good for 5 years. This, we're saying the asset's good for 36,000 units. So it's by productivity, not by time. All right. So let's move on to double declining balance. So double declining balance is what's referred to as an accelerated depreciation method. Accelerated meaning it gives us the ability to recognize more depreciation expense up front. So if we have an asset where in reality it's going to lose much of its value or of its utility up front, it makes sense for double declining balance. So our example here, we have a $10,000 asset with a $10,000 cost. And then we have a 1,000 salvage. And this is an asset with a 4-year useful life. So to do double declining balance, we're going to set up a chart. So we have year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4. We're going to have our beginning book value. We're going to have our depreciation rate. We're going to have our depreciation expense. And then we're going to have our ending book value. So the first thing we're going to start with is our beginning book value is $10,000. One key thing to remember with double declining balance is we're going to start with the $10,000. We're not going to reduce the salvage yet in our depreciation calculation. So with straight line in units of production, we calculated depreciable cost as cost minus salvage value. Double declining balance, we're going to start with the book value. The depreciation rate for double declining balance is double the straight line rate. So with a 4-year useful life asset, the straight line rate would be 25%. So that means the double declining balance rate is 50%. So our depreciation rate is 50%. So if we take our 10,000 times 50%, our depreciation in year 1 is $5,000. And then if we take our beginning book value less that depreciation, our ending book value is $5,000 at the end of year 1. So if our ending book value at the end of year 1 is $5,000, that means our beginning in year 2 is $5,000. Our depreciation rate is going to be the same, 50%. 5,000 times 50%. Our depreciation expense is going to be $2,500. 5,000 beginning book value minus 2,500 depreciation expense gets us an ending book value of 2,500. So now we're going to carry that ending over to the beginning of year 3. 2,500 beginning book value, 50% rate, $1,250 depreciation expense, 2,500 times 50%. If we take the 2,500 less the 1,250, our ending book value is 1,250. Now we're going to carry that over to year 4 as the beginning. So where double declining balance gets a little bit tricky is in the last year, we want our ending book value to equal the salvage value. So we know the beginning book value, we know what our ending book value we want to be, so we would end up plugging depreciation expense as $250 in the last year. So now the ending book value is $1,000, which is the salvage value. All right, so please review and please reach out with any questions.